What's up guys, it's Eccentric Boy again from TeamCalamity. This is a video basically just talking about the Vanguard meta, and because everything is kind of up in the air at the moment as qualifiers haven't happened yet, it's just a way of really deciphering for yourself what the best decks are, just trying to see a deck. Like, even if new support comes out, just see a deck and think, oh, is that a good deck or not? Because I know a few people that really find it difficult to assess whether a deck is good, or more of a why certain decks are good. So I'll try and explain it as best as possible to my understanding, because I am still fairly new to the game. So yeah. Now, those of you who will be playing the game for at least 5 minutes will know that every deck tries to win by getting the opponent to 6 damage. There isn't any kind of Exodia Shidazzle yet. So but every deck does it in its own way, and Vanguard players call that the winning image. I don't know. I can't imitate anyone. Yeah, the winning image of the deck. Yu-Gi-Oh players call it the win condition. It's just a term. Basically, let's say that A is where you start and C is getting them to 6 damage. How do you get from A to B to C? B is the win condition bit. So, oh yeah, I have these 3 there, by the way, just because they look nice. They aren't of any relevance to the video. Now, some decks are just naturally better than others. So, for example, Kagero, Gold Paladins, and before the Buck Gal ban, definitely Royal Paladins. And a lot of players that I know were just thinking, why? What makes Kagero better than Narukami? What makes Kagero better than Grand Blue? And all of that sort of stuff. So I'll try and explain it as best as I can. For one thing, if a deck's winning image involves gaining card advantage in the purest form of just killing stuff or obtaining stuff of your own, then it's going to be better than decks that don't do that. So, for example, Kagero works by retiring the opponent's rear guards. If I use Berserk Dragon's effect, that's a +1. If I use Kim Nara's effect, that's an even trade, but it's still killing something of yours, and thus putting me in a better position. If I'm using Gold Paladins, Galmor is a +1, Azel is a +1, Vivian is a +1. If I'm using Oracle Think Tank, Tsukuyomi's effect is a +1, or for the Soulless, Coco's effect is a +2. it's just got a lot. And even for Royal Paladins back in the day, Bartgul obviously a +1 every time. Things like Akane is a +1, Alfred is a +1, Blaster Blade is a +1. So all their effects, you use Counterblast as the resource system for most decks, but those decks use it to obtain card advantage. So that puts them in a better position. Say Grand Blue, Cocytus is pretty much the only card that is actually just a straight up +1 in Grand Blue, unless you're like cool and want to still use Negromal. Let's say Night Mist, that's an even trade because you kill one of your own guys and get another one. Samurai Spirit, also an even trade. And those are the things that you'll be using your Counterblast for. So I'm not saying that Grand Blues are bad or anything, but it's just other decks use the same resource system but to gain card advantage, so they will naturally be better than decks that use the same resource system but they don't obtain any card advantage. They're more gimmicky effects like Angel Feather, I guess. They don't plus that much. It would be kind of broken if they did plus because it involves the damage zone. But well, this effect is actually a +1. But other than that, you know, they'll Counterblast to swap a card from their hand in the damage zone, stuff like that. So it's it's still good and it's still viable, but it isn't broken in the card advantage sense. That having been said, as I said in the Flash Guard video, card advantage and damage are intricately linked in this game. So for a further explanation of that, what that means is that, say, I don't know, Cocytus boosted by Grand Blue MILF attacks, and then this guy's, let's say that this guy's effect doesn't activate, and that's 15k. You can guard with a 10, and that'll be fine. Now let's say that this is my Vanguard, and the effect does activate. Its effect increases it by 5k. Oh look, I have to guard for more. That's 2 cards. So unless you're an idiot, you should see from that inflicting more damage or having more stuff to inflict damage with means that you will force more cards out of the opponent, and thus you will gain more cards in card advantage. That's why Spike Brothers is actually a very good deck. I know that like every locals has just the Spike Brothers scrub that will use Dudley Emperor as soon as they can, and just every time, like first turn, they'll be like, Bracky, Soul Blast, return, and I'll just be like, God, for 5 or something. Like, you know, if you're a bad Spike Brothers player, it couldn't be an easier matchup, but with a good Spike Brothers player, because the deck can put so much damage out on the board, like, without triggers, let's say that I have Dudley Emperor boosted by Wonder Boy, which always happens, because of Mecha Trainer. Juggernaut boosted by anything, right? And they attack, and then I use the Limit Break to get Juggernauts again, and just attack and use the Soul Blast every time. That will be minimum 70k that the opponent needs to guard with. Minimum. So not including the risk of triggers or anything like that. So now you saw this. These are 10k. So you would need 7 of these just to guard through. So even in the best case scenario where the opponent gets no triggers, or the Spy Brother player I should say, gets no triggers, and the guy guarding has 7 of these in their hand, that's still 7 cards out of their hand. So you're doing quite well in card advantage times. And most of the time, you won't have like 7 of these in your hand. So you'll have to guard with things like these instead. And that just means that the amount that the Spike Brother player forces out the opponent's hand is furthered even more. So, you know, if a deck can put a lot of damage out on the board, then that also makes them a good deck. So that's why Gold Paladins have both the ability to just plus through, again, things like Garmor, Ezel, and Vivian, but they can also put so much damage on the opponent as well. Things like Garmor and Ezel, they'll be hitting for extremely high numbers, and even, like, I wouldn't recommend playing Zagremor to be honest, but just Gigantic Crusher boosted by the 8k, that'll be swinging for 20k, or Zagremor Counterblast, that'll be swinging for 21. So that will force more cards out of the opponent's hand as well. The Soul Saver Paladin days of old, they had the same thing, because Soul Saver would boost everything by 5,000, as you saw in the video of me getting completely destroyed by Soul Saver, just because it puts you in a situation where you have to guard for so much, and thus you are forcing cards out of their hand. And even now with Kagero, Lawkeeper, and Dual Axe, they will be swinging. So the opponent has to guard for 15k each time, without any triggers. If you get triggers, then they'll have to guard for more. So it's just another thing. If a deck can inflict damage, or heavy damage, swing for high numbers, then that will force cards out of their hand, and thus you will be playing the card advantage game. So thus your win condition, your winning image for, say, Spike Brothers, is also a winning image of reducing the amount of card advantage that the opponent has, or increasing your own. Although Spy Brothers is a very well designed deck, I would say. So yeah, card advantage and just pure damage, two good indications of a good deck. And finally, I don't know, I might carry on, but if they have a particularly broken card or just broken cards, then like it sounds obvious, but a lot of people, if a clan is mediocre, or not even mediocre, but just okay, and they have a good card, then that can increase what the clan itself can do as a whole, I guess. So a decent example of that is this, like, Narukamis haven't really got a lot going for them yet, but Dragonic Kaiser Vermilion is a very good card. It isn't broken. Anyone saying that it's broken, no, it isn't. It's basically just Counterblast 3 to retire the front 2 rear guards. Like, it isn't ridiculously broken. But 11k is very good in the English meta at the moment, because that's a great defensive stat. Oh yeah, back onto the damage thing. It can work in the completely reverse way. So if you can nullify their attacks for less cards, then you conserve more cards, and thus you are ahead on card advantage. So any deck with an 11k Vanguard, i.e. Dragonic Kaiser, and I don't know, Mega Colony with the limit break and stuff like that, Tsukuyomi, if you get everything in the right chain, then you will have to guard for less. I did examples in the perfect guard video, so I shouldn't really need to do that again. But because you're guarding for less, you conserve more shield, and because you don't have to waste as many cards, you get more card advantage than your opponent. So that's a good thing as well. And even things like Mega Colony, it may seem like a gimmicky kind of win condition, just, oh yeah, I'ma stop your guys from standing, yeah. And then some of you might say, well, why not just play Kagero and then kill them? Like, yeah, that does work, but even just preventing them from standing gives you card advantage, because they either have to kill them to play guys to attack, or not attack, and then if they don't attack, you don't have to guard. If you don't have to guard, you don't have to waste cards. Thus, you keep the cards in your hand, and so you save card advantage. Yeah, that should be that. So, in summary, things to look out for: if it's intricately linked with card advantage, if it can put a lot of damage, and if it can function well defensively, like Mega Colony, and if it has particularly broken cards. So yeah, hope that helped all of you. Hope none of you will be saying that Grand Blues are broken anymore, anything like that, or Narukamis are broken. Well, we'll have to see until Booster Set 08 for the Dragonic Overlord, the end clone. That will come out and destroy the game, but I don't know, we'll see. Anyways, thanks for watching. Eccentric Boy out.